seeing the deaths as well. It's really, really tragic. This is a step forward, but it doesn't fix the problem. It's not just aged care facilities. It's, your local shops. It's everywhere that people need to stay at home if they are sick. You only have to have one person turn up to work sick to spread it to another 5, and then the virus takes its own path. And so that's why we absolutely need this to be simple, universal, for everyone, that if you've been in contact or if you're infected or you're waiting for a test, you've got to stay at home.
Well, you know what they say about unintended consequences? They can be, well, somewhat rather unintended. And it would appear that travel restrictions may have had some unintended flow-on effects for our food supply, with a concern the agricultural industry may be in short of seasonal workers to harvest crops and pick fruit. Remember, many of the people who do that are backpackers. In fact, the overwhelming majority of people are backpackers. So what's going to happen this year when our fruit needs to be picked? WA Minister for Agriculture and Food, Alana McTiernan, had a chat to Simon Beaumont earlier today.
We've been very conscious of this since COVID first hit. So we've been doing a range of things, trying to keep as many of the backpackers and seasonal workers that were already here in place. At the time COVID struck, we might have had around 140,000 backpackers across Australia. That's now down to probably around 80 to 90,000. Mm-hmm. We've been working with the federal government to make sure that those that are already here can get their time extended. But we know that that's not going to be enough, and we are going to have more West Australians and Australians to come on board to really help us get this harvest out this year. It's also the grain sector as well. So the stuff that we see more is the horticulture, and we definitely need fruit pickers all the way from Kununurra down to Albany. But we also are going to need people to get our massive grain harvest out.
I suppose one of the big questions that's going to come out of that is whether people who are physically able and on something like Job Seeker, whether they should be directed to go and do that kind of work. I mean, yes, it would have to take into account whether or not somebody was physically capable of doing so, but maybe that's one of the questions we will have to ask ourselves. The option, of course, is that we could end up with perfectly viable, perfectly beautiful fresh fruit, literally withering on the vine. I think that's totally unacceptable. According to new statistics, 1 in 16 Australians believe their lives are back to normal following the COVID pandemic. I wonder, is that you? 1 in 11 don't think that life will ever be the same again. According to Michelle Market, head of household surveys at the Australian Bureau of Statistics, that's the situation. And she had a chat to Millsy and Baz about it on The Brekkie Show.
Yeah, so we've been following about 1,000 people every fortnight for the last 4 months, right across the country. So we've got people in every state and every city. We've been really able to see the ebbs and the flows across the whole pandemic. When we take Victoria out, we see that the rate across the rest of the country is quite a bit higher. So it's about 21% across the rest of the country and only about 2% in Victoria. So, they're obviously in a more difficult place when we did the survey. And so that's kind of dragged the whole country down. Different parts of the country are in different phases. And some people said, their life pretty much wasn't affected. I guess, they don't go out so much. So they've not experience much change. There's a fair proportion of people across the country, perhaps in West Australia and South Australia and other places. Tasmania would be another one where a large proportion of their life is back to normal.
It's interesting to look at the people who are talking about their lives being back to normal as opposed to those who would say their lives are never going to be normal again. This will, in fact, I think, be a very, very interesting survey to take again, probably in around about 12 months' time.
Start your day the right way.
We're looking for notepad users.
With Steve Mills and Basil Zemplis.
Yeah, no, look, use a bit of Elder's notebook. Use it daily. I'm a farmer.
Elders, yeah. What do you write in it, Cole?
Everything. I carry a little notepad in my top pocket, and I have done for 42 years.
I carry a notebook for real estate. You can't miss those leads.
Breakfast with Steve Mills and Basil Zemplis. Tomorrow morning from 5 on 882 6PR.
With humans in hibernation, now's the chance for all rat kind. Hey, mouse! To take over! Oh no, it's all pest!
They should be scared. All Pest are the rodent eradication experts. All Pest's technicians deliver a service that's unmatched in quality, reliability and safety, using only premium products and the latest equipment and technology. With over 60 years' experience in the industry, call today on 9416 0220 or visit allpest.com.au.
Trevor's Carpets should have been called Trevor's Carpets, Timbers, Laminates, Vinyl and Hybrid Planks, but that wouldn't fit on the sign. So instead, we'll just have to tell you that Trevor's Carpets is a lot more than just carpets. In fact, Trevor's Carpets has the largest flooring warehouses with the largest stock range in WA, and they'll make sure you get the best price too. Bring your plans to one of their 14 locations and talk to one of their friendly consultants today. trevorscarpets.com.au for all your flooring needs.
The resources sector kept operating during COVID-19, changing how we work and introducing new safety measures. Now, our focus is to support WA's economic recovery. We will work with WA to get through this by creating new jobs and investing in the community. And we will continue to pay wages, suppliers and taxes. The resources sector, supporting WA's economic recovery.
6PR's footy tipping with Homestars. Congratulations to this round's top tipster, George Okolich, who tipped a perfect round and the closest winning margin.
He doesn't miss. He doesn't miss.
This year's top tipster will win $10,000 thanks to Homestars. They are the first home buyers specialists.
He launches a big kick for a goal.
Get your tips in now at 6pr.com.au/footy tipping. Perth Tonight for Regis Aged Care. Reimagine what aged care could be like. Regis.com.au.
And it's time to talk about technology and all that other exciting stuff with Ben Aylett from benaylett.com. Don't forget 1L 2 T's in Aylett. That's where you'll find his contact information. He is identified, this is your sort of security code, by his Hawaiian shirts. I've got to say though, mate, we're not quite Hawaiian enough tonight. Complaint.
What do you mean? It's totally Hawaiian.
I can't see any pineapples.
It doesn't have to have a pineapple to be a Hawaiian shirt. These are hibiscus, blue hibiscus as well. So
all right, okay.
I think it counts.
All right, fair enough.
Yep.
All right. By the way, if you'd like to have a chat to Ben, 922
Yeah.
We had a chat just a moment ago to the WA Shadow Police Minister, Peter Katzenbarnis.
Yes.
About this horrible story of a woman who's made reports of a sexual assault via a police website. You know, if you'd like to report something, click here. So basically a hot link on the WA Police website. It has gone nowhere. And it's only later been revealed that the emails were sent to, for want of a better term, either a dead link or a link that never existed in the first place. To be honest, we don't know exactly which one it is.
Yeah.
However, the reports went nowhere. She did not receive a notification back that said your mail could not be delivered or you're sending to an address that doesn't exist, whatever the case may be.
Yep.
So therefore, she had every reason to believe that her email had been delivered.
Yeah.
What can we do about this? More and more in various different areas. And look, I guess if you're ordering, I don't know, ordering a pair of shoes,
Yep.
it probably doesn't matter so much. But when you're making a report of what you allege is a sexual assault to the West Australian Police, I think it's pretty important to know and to have some sort of verification that your message has been received.
Yeah, so this is something that would come down to the communications department, the IT department. There's obviously got to be some sort of department within the WA Police where they also do regular audits and checks. So having a link on a website where you click on a link, it opens a form, you fill in the form and you click send. I'm assuming this is how it works because I haven't done it myself yet. And hopefully you'd get some sort of a confirmation back to say thanks for your email. And your
Wouldn't
case
you
numbers will
expect
be
in
touch.
some sort of official form like WA Police that that's what they would do, especially if it was a link that was designed to give a report. So it would say, thank you very much for your report.
Yeah.
Whether or not we will reply to your email shortly or an officer will be in contact with you. I mean, whatever is appropriate. Obviously, the police procedures are their procedures.
Yes.
But you would think there would be some sort of response that would be automatically sent to the person to say, we have received your report.
Okay, yeah.
And even if it came back and gave you an incident number.
Yeah. So, look, assigning an incident number means that you'll probably have to have this website tied into the internal police system, which in itself is probably not a good idea. We don't want to have like the internal reporting system or some way to access the police records from an external source. So there's probably a good reason why that's not happened. The other thing is
but it can give you an incident number. That doesn't mean it has to go anywhere beyond. It does that, which then means it's being directed to somebody for attention.
Yeah, but it's got to be given. You've got to get that incident number. If it's automated, it means that the website is then pulling information from a database somewhere, which is then used to reference other stuff within the police system. So it's really tricky because you are dealing with information security that is highly sensitive and you really don't want it getting out. So there's that issue. The other issue is that if it automatically sends back a receipt to say, hey, thanks for your email, we've got it, it doesn't necessarily mean that anyone's read it. And this is where it comes down to auditing your website. I mean, websites should be audited at least every year.
I mean, this is one thing if we were talking about a commercial business where you were buying something online.
Yep.
If you're talking about something, and don't forget, we're talking about people making reports of alleged sexual assaults.
Yes.
Sexual assaults are among the most heinous of crimes that we know.
Absolutely.
We absolutely are repulsed by sexual assaults. So why wouldn't the police make sure, or the person responsible for maintaining their website make sure that something like a link that says if you want to report a sexual assault, click here, is being seen by somebody?
Yeah, it might have worked at first and then it stopped working because either the person receiving that email or looking after that account might not be there anymore or not watching that account.
Where are the checks and balances? Who's the person who's checking the website? Who's the person who's making sure the website's working? You've done websites. You've surely tested links to ensure they're still working.
Oh, every time.
You've looked at links to make sure that the address they're pointing to is valid. You've done all that.
Yeah, and the customer also checks it. So when I make websites for a customer, the first thing they do is they check the order form to make sure it works because they've got a vested interest in making sure that it works, and they'll pull me up any time it doesn't work as intended. This is also something that should have been done as a part of regular audits of like security systems as well as communication systems, and it looks like it's just been missed. And I'm really surprised that the person who would have normally been receiving these emails, if they're still around, wondering... They should be sitting at their desk wondering why it's gone so quiet.
Well, let me ask you this question.
Right.
If they're soliciting reports through that, if it's a link that goes nowhere, so the address is invalid, wouldn't at some point somebody cotton on to the fact, even if they're looking at statistics, and let's be honest, police love statistics, wouldn't somebody realise that they're not receiving any reports through this alleged website?
Yeah, you'd have to, well... It really depends on how much the website's being used. So it might not be a main source of reporting. So it could be that everyone's phoning it in or visiting a station straight up.
Well, wouldn't the fact that you had no feedback whatsoever
from the website,
wouldn't that raise questions?
It should be something that should be raising questions if someone was watching it. I think basically the ball, well, we know the ball's been dropped.
Yeah.
The system was not being monitored as it should have been. And it had not been audited as it should have been. So they should be, at least every 12 months, sending a test message. So please ignore this is only a test, report to such and such if you see it. It's just simple, just putting it into a website and away you go.
But it also, it not only means that nobody tested it, it also means nobody was auditing it. Yep. Nobody was looking at it. Because if you had a website, let's say, for example, that wasn't producing any reports, and if you verified that you weren't actually receiving any reports, wouldn't you then come to the conclusion that there probably wasn't much point in maintaining that website for that reason?
Yeah, and leaving it open for people to use thinking they were getting through. So, yeah, it's we can't say for sure that it wasn't being audited full stop, but we can say it probably wasn't being audited.
Well, if it's been going for that long, I think we can probably safely say it wasn't being audited.
That particular part, yes, I would agree.
You know, because what do we say the evidence of that is? Well, the fact that this woman was sending these messages and nothing was coming back.
Yeah.
And when she finally did go to a police station, they looked at her and said, there's no report in our computer.
Wow.
And she said, well, I've made the reports, and only because she was able to prove it because she'd kept past emails on her phone.
Wow.
Otherwise, she would have basically been called a liar. I mean, you know, and the reason I raise this, apart from anything else, this particular issue is a very, very serious issue.
Yes, it is.
But it is a small part of what is a greater problem.
Yep.
More and more people are being told, go to a website. You want to do this, go to the website.
Yep.
Right, all sorts of police incidents you report on the website, various different other areas. Go to the website. Yeah, you want to do something with Medicare, go to the website. They don't actually want to talk to a human being. People who deal with Centrelink are more and more finding the same thing. Go to the website.
Yep.
Which is all fine and dandy.
As long as it works.
As long as it works.
Yep.
And as long as, and of course what happens, It also works, especially if you look at some areas where you're supposed to put in a form, let's say, for example, and you say, I've put in the form.
Yep.
Right? And let's say, for example, the website has not accepted the form, or it has not gone where it's supposed to, so it's no fault of yours, but you have actually put the form in.
Yeah.
You're still subjected to the guilty until proven innocent mantra. They say, well, we haven't received the form. Well, I sent the form. So rather than say, well, actually, you say you've sent the form, and maybe we should check to see, they don't bother doing that. Well, we haven't received it. It's like a blind, if you say you've sent the form, you go out and prove it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to find yourself on the wrong end of the stick. At some point, don't we have to look commercially for businesses, commercial businesses?
Yep.
They will suffer commercially if they do this stuff badly.
Yep.
But for other departments, government departments and what have you, where you have to do this stuff, that's when it becomes completely different because people are often accused of not doing things that they have done.
Yes.
And that's a problem.
Yeah, so it's something that has to be looked at, and because we don't have that commercial carrot to entice people to make sure that their websites are working, it's probably got to be a little more stick in the form of proper audits and just really someone within the government that oversees the auditing of all departments. I don't know, that could be one solution, or we might need a special department within the police force that might already exist. They just need to update their procedures, make sure they are doing everything they should be doing.
Yeah, it becomes a real issue though, doesn't it? Because more and more people are being told to go to websites.
Yes, yeah.
Which is quite remarkable.
Yeah.
And Ollie was talking about this on his program this afternoon.
Right.
Something like 11% of people don't have the internet. That's Australians. 11%. So 1.1 people in 10 don't have the internet. Does that number come as a surprise to you?
Yeah, it does. I mean, of all the people I know, there's not many who say, no, I don't have the internet. I know a few people, more than 10, I'd say.
Yeah.
Well,
it's somewhere just short of 12%, that figure.
No.
Don't have the internet, right? That's not that they don't have access to it, it's that they don't have it.
All right. So would that be by choice, where they say, no, I don't want the internet, or is it because they don't have the opportunity or the resources to get the internet?
Well, in other words, financially it's an issue.
So 12%, so almost 12%
is a fair figure.
Cannot afford or cannot access the internet due to financial reasons.
Yeah. 922 118 882. If you don't have the internet, so if you don't have the internet, you can't go online.
Yep. Not because you choose to, because you can't.
No. I want to look at people who choose not to.
Oh, okay.
Right, who say, I'm not interested.
All right.
It's one thing, look, it's one thing, and I guess we can go and identify people who would be in a position where they can't afford it.
Right.
But I'm talking about people who by choice don't.
All right.
Because if 12% of Australians don't have internet,
yes,
I would venture that a significant percentage of that 12% don't have internet by choice.
Yeah.
I've looked at it and said not interested.
Okay.
922 118 882. If you don't have the internet, why don't you have the internet?
Yep. And
do you not have the internet because you can't afford it? Or do you not have the internet because, to be totally honest, you're not interested in having it?
Yeah. And how do you make do? So if you don't do it by choice, how do you make do with your day-to-day living? And if you don't do it by choice, how does it affect you on a day-to-day basis?
922 118 882. We'll take some calls in a moment.
Winter bills mean many households are finding ways to save on their energy costs. That means it will pay to check your plan and make sure you're paying bottom dollar. If you're not receiving bottom dollar prices, then the 50 Up Club has you covered with a member-only gas deal available at 50upclub.com. To check it out, go to 50upclub.com to see if you can save. Not only this, but they now have a full list of energy concessions and rebates available to the over 50s in Western Australia at 50upclub.com. So to save on energy bills, visit 50upclub.com today.
When you gotta get winter work gear, you gotta get into Work Clobber. Their 9 trade stores are everywhere, so when you need it, you can get it. Wet weather gear, work jumpers, jackets and blueies. Stock up on all the big names like Hard Yakka, King G, Blundstone, Dry as a Bone, Steel Blue and Oliver. Work Clobber, they're everywhere. Balcatta, Cannington, Kelmscott, Midland, Morley, O'Connor, Wangara, Canning Vale and Joondalup. Or check out workclobber.com.au.
Looking to get more value from your home loan? Thinking about refinancing? It's never been a better time to explore your options with CommBank. Enjoy our lowest fixed rates and $2,000 cash back when you switch your eligible home loan of at least $250,000 to CommBank. Simply apply by October 31st and have your loan funded by December 31st this year. Search CommBank Home Loans. Make the move to a CommBank home loan. Excludes bridging loans. Conditions, fees and charges apply.
Be part of the John Hughes rumour file for your chance to win $400 and go in the draw to win a top-of-the-range MG ZS Essence with luxury leather seating, panoramic sunroof, satellite navigation, push-button start, alloy wheels, reverse camera and sensors, and a 7-year warranty from John Hughes. Email rumourfile at 6pr.com.au and listen out during breakfast weekdays. Thanks to John Hughes, now over 50 years in Victoria Park. Visit johnhughes.com.au, DL 6061.
For 30 years, Paragon Window Films have been at the forefront of quality window tinting for homes and businesses, protecting families' fittings and furnishings from the harsh West Australian sun. Paragon has the most experienced installers and exclusively uses 3M films. Now is the perfect time to take action. Get a quote today and enjoy the benefits of heat rejection, UV reduction and daytime privacy in time for spring and summer. Contact Paragon Films for a free in-home consultation, paragonfilms.com.au.
Hey, can I use your stapler?
Here you go.
Thanks, boss.
We've made changes for those changing the way they work, with no lock-in contracts on our new internet and mobile plans. Just pay out your device if you leave. Visit Telstra today.
Perth Tonight for Regis Aged Care. Reimagine what aged care could be like. regis.com.au.
BenAylett.com is his website. 1L, 2 T's in Aylett. That's also where you'll find all of his contact information. On the subject of website security, Caleb.
Yeah, good evening. How you doing, mate?
Good, mate.
G'day, Caleb.
Ben's here and listening.
Yeah, sorry. So just a quick one for all the like the security side of things when it comes to those websites.
Yes.
So obviously they're creating some sort of form on these particular websites. It's basically a bid from third parties to say, hey, look, we'll build it for you. Here's the price that we'll do it.
Yep.
And obviously, if government, they choose the cheapest that they can. So obviously, they choose the cheapest, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the quality that they need. So they create the service, they create the different forms.
Yep.
That's why it doesn't always work the best because, again, you're just getting the cheapest, possibly the most amateur people to create it.
Yeah.
And so that's why there's so many different issues that are happening.
Yep.
With that as well, security-wise.
Caleb, can I just interrupt there? This is one thing that has always done my head in for a long time. Surely the first thing you have to do when you get somebody to tender for a job is set the minimum specifications that are acceptable. I mean, if the only basis you use is the person who puts in the cheapest quote, seriously, does anyone, including the people themselves who are getting the job done, are they really surprised when it all goes pear-shaped?
To be honest, no. Because obviously that's why they say there's always improvements that they can have done. And so they take back the feedback from customers. That's why you have your complaint line. And so that way they can then forward all those sort of suggestions onto the actual third party so they can improve it, which is why it takes forever. Like have a look at Centrelink a few years ago. Terrible website, always slow, bad servers. And so then the feedback came through and then they started increasing it and improving it. And it's funny because, last week when everyone was going onto the website, Centrelink to basically say, hey, look, I want to claim. And they said, it crashed. And they say, it was a hacker. It wasn't a hacker. It was just that the servers couldn't actually handle that amount of information from all those people trying to make this claim. Which is why, when they had that COVID-19 app, wasn't a fan of it because I don't know the security behind it. And we already have China that are trying to hack into our systems, try and get personal information. I don't know if they are able to do it. Because again, it's the cheapest, vendor to say, yep, I want to create it for you.
Yep.
We'll meet the bare minimum. Here's the cheapest that we can do. But they don't actually prepare for worst case scenarios, which is, again, I agree they need to do audits. They need to make sure they test out and get another third party to make sure everything's fine and secure before they actually roll it out and release it to the public.
Makes a lot of sense. Thank you very much for your thoughts. Appreciate your call, Caleb.
Thanks for that, Caleb.
On the subject of don't have internet, 922 11882 is our telephone number, by the way. If you don't have the internet, What's the reason why you don't have the internet? Noel.
Yeah, good evening, Chris, Ben.
Hello, Noel.
Well, I'm in the 80s. I'm blind.
Right.
And I find that I wouldn't be able to handle the security of it because even on my phone, I can't read text. I can't trust the SMS. So I just go along as the mobile phone, as a telephone.
Right.
And if I've got to answer anything, I do it by registered mail.
Okay. Now, do you feel that you miss out on anything at all, or you're quite happy with the way things are?
No, quite happy. You know, I've even had a couple say about cash, you know, like, oh, we don't take cash anymore. Well, I just tell them it's legal tender. I can't see to operate a card. I don't know the security of it.
Yep.
Can't see to operate an ATM. So I go inside the bank, get cash, do it the old way. Don't have any problems at all.
Oh, wow.
Thank you very much for that, Noel. Appreciate your call. There's Noel's reason for not having the internet. 922-11882. If you don't have the internet, what's the reason why? It can be anything from it's something that would be too financially draining all the way through to you have no interest. But I also wonder how many people would fare now without having access to that, because there is so much, and especially in what we might term a post-COVID-19 world, there is so much that you have to do online. And if it's not available, and if you don't do stuff online, I would imagine that you're at a disadvantage. There's another question for you. If you don't have the internet, how much of a problem do you find? For example, when somebody says, well, you can get the information off our website, or you can fill out that form online, and you turn around and say, well, I'm not online. See, that's a high figure, nearly 12%. As I said before, a certain percentage of that would, yes, be people who couldn't afford it. There would be financial issues. I accept that. But a vast majority of that 12%, I would suggest, have done so through their own choice, perhaps through medical circumstances like Noel. And when you stop for a moment, you start to realise, with all the things that we do online just as a routine, it must leave people at a huge disadvantage sometimes.
Well, you think it would, yeah. I mean, I couldn't survive without the internet, obviously, because that's kind of all my work is centred around being online connected and, safe. So
well, mate, we're just about out of time, but before we did that, I wanted to talk about a website that you love, LastPass.
Yes.
Apparently, hackers are doing a phishing job on LastPass.
Yeah. Now, the thing is, I mean, we get phishing stuff all the time, but these hackers have done their homework and they understand how LastPass works and how LastPass sell their service with all the mechanisms and things. So the LastPass adaptive protection alert that they send out is very well worded, and it's pretty much along the lines what LastPass would say. You click on the link, update your master password, bingo, the bad guys have got the keys to your kingdom.
Don't click on the link.
No, do
Just
not click
quickly,
on the link.
hello, Joanne.
Oh, hi, Chris and Ben. How are you?
Hi,
Good.
Joanne.
Okay, can I ask Ben a question?
Yeah, just quickly.
Okay. All right, internet.
Yes.
I was supposed to get all switched over and whatever the other day. Telstra turned up, not a problem, but it was short-lived because very soon he said to me, oh, I'm getting no signal. NBN haven't done whatever they're supposed to do.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, so what happens then? You've got 10 seconds.
Okay, it drives me nuts when they say NBN has to fix it. It really should be Telstra. You've got to raise a ticket with Telstra and tell them if they don't get it sorted out, go to the TIO.
Thank you. We'll talk to you next week.
I'll catch you there.
The morning program.
Kathy Willis is a real estate agent at Harcourts in Bridgetown.